Alright, now that we've covered what Batman's got going on during the DC K.O event, it's time to find out what's going on in the main tournament. After we saw some of the heroes and villains make it through, we got a pretty crazy reveal that Booster Gold is the one who is actually Darkseid in disguise, and he has his own plans. Not only that, but the Heart of Apocalypse told us that it already knows who's gonna win the tournament, and on top of all of that, we got the reveal of absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman as they were called Darkseid's destroyers. So many moving parts, and now it's time to find out where they're all gonna go here in DC K.O. number 2. It's time to find out who's gonna get eliminated and who's gonna continue in this tournament. Let's get into it. And we start before Darkseid even attacked, back when the Trinity were all hanging out having a good casual time. I have to say, I like seeing Bruce this way. He's very jokey with his friend. And while they're all having a good time, Lois brings up the fact that at one point, Tim gave Bruce some non-cape topics, something casual for them to talk about. They have to guess what each other would be if they didn't have their powers and training. If they couldn't be what they are now, what kind of job would they have in society? And Clark guesses that Diana would be a tour guide for national parks. Diana accepts this and she believes Bruce would be a doctor, similar to his father, as he jokes and says under his breath, a bat doctor. And Bruce believes Superman would be the president. But this kind of bothers Clark. He doesn't really agree with this. He thinks Bruce is way off. But he doesn't really have a rebuttal either. He doesn't know what he'd be. But this soft moment is cut short as we get back to the tournament. And as everybody is healed from their previous battle, the rules are made very clear. Welcome champions to the second challenge. I speak as the Heart of Apocalypse, your game master. To become the King Omega in his new universe, Darkseid had to take to collect power from his kind, primordial beings, gods. Here, each of you must do the same, but from your own kind, your fellow champions. Hidden throughout this realm are some of the most powerful items in your universe. This arena is a graveyard of elder gods slain by Darkseid. The items lie in their ruins. When all the items are found, the challenge is over. Whoever is holding an item at that time moves on. Whoever is not, dies. There are only 16 items hidden here and 32 of you. By the end of this challenge, half of you will be no more. There are no rules of conduct. Nothing matters but winning. And remember this rule above all. Here, in this arena, if you follow the example of Darkseid, you shall be rewarded. Now let the challenge begin. And for those of you who have forgotten, they've made it very clear in these DC K.O. comics. It's to be ruthless. Do whatever you gotta do to win. A lot easier for the villains to do, a little harder for the heroes. But we do got some pretty ruthless heroes here. So it's time to find out who cooks who. And I love this part of the comic. See, the heroes and villains all blast off looking for these items, but Superman makes sure to do his part. So we know exactly why he's here in this tournament. We saw a little bit of it in DC K.O. number 1. He's only here to make sure the villains fail. See, some of the heroes have an advantage. Hawkman can actually sense where the Claw of Horus is. Cyborg can sense where the Mother Box is. And Lex Luthor's suit is full of scanners, so he's going right after the power ring. And wherever he goes, Superman goes. And while he's chasing Lex, he blasts some heat vision at the other villains too. His whole plan is to make sure none of the villains win, especially Lex. Now while Clark is trying to take care of the other villains, we got Diana and Etrigan fighting for Adam's belt. And he does what he usually does with these stupid rhymes. To you that belt shall not pass. This demon spawn will kick your ass. I admit, princess, you fight well, but you are no match for— and she cuts him off and says, go to hell, kicking him right in the face, one-shotting Etrigan. Now while she's looking around for Adam's belt before someone else shows up, Giganta. As she says there's only room for one big girl, but someone is much bigger than Giganta. And as she looks up, we see it's the goddamn Joker. He got to Adam's belt first. Of course he did. And despite the fact that the Joker's gotta be the most famous psychopath in her entire universe, she seems to think Joker would take it easy on her because they're part of the same team. Joker doesn't give a damn. He stomps on her and eats some of the other villains. Eats them! Joker is so crazy. And we move over to the battle for the Godkiller sword, as we see Plastic Man and Metamorpho fight for it. And Plastic Man gets cooked, but right before Metamorpho can get the sword, we see Starro get it, as he says, the sword is mine, you fucking loser. Ha, too slow. I thought this was pretty funny, but the minute he talks about someone being too slow, Jay Garrick takes it from him, because who's faster than the Flash? And as he's the one that acquires that item, we've got Guy Gardner going for the Speed Force ring. But as he sits there just staring at it and talking to himself, he gets one shot by Harley freaking Quinn, and she's the one who gets it. I cannot believe a Green Lantern got snuck up on in one shot by Harley Quinn. Now we get to a more intense battle between Superman and Lex, and I mean he beating the shit out of Lex. And Lex tries to stop him to have a conversation with him. He wants to let him know that when the hero sent all the villains into the Phantom Zone, he likes what Superman did with the place, and how the Phantom Zone is now more therapeutic. It's now a way for the villains to try and rehabilitate themselves. And in the Phantom Zone, Lex had an epiphany, but Superman is not interested. He's all business. And Lex does what he always does when he's losing to Superman. He uses kryptonite. Now, I did not read the issue they're noting here in the comic, but it looks like there is a lot more kryptonite available for people to use against Superman. And Lex talks about how he had so many different colors to choose from, but this time he won't be using kryptonite to try and kill Superman. He's gonna use it to make Superman listen. And since Superman can't stop him, he continues. He thought he hated Superman because he did too much. He stopped humanity from learning from their mistakes, because he was always there to correct them. But he realizes he was wrong. That's not why he hates Superman. He hates him because he does too little. And as he stands over Superman triumphant, he wants to thank him for putting him in the Phantom Zone. And he felt so grateful that he brought a piece of the Phantom Zone with him. As we see, he has a Phantom Zone sword. And with this sword, he cuts Superman's freaking hand off. Lex is not messing around. And he's got a lot more to say. When I arrived here in the heart of Apocalypse, it gave me a vision of what the universe could be like if I won. Of everything remade in my image. I assume it did this for everyone else. What was yours, Superman? A better reality? Far better. Diseases cured, corrupted governments eradicated, a cultural and technological paradise, am I right? But let me guess, your response to that vision was to reject it. Your goal, even now, is to just put everything back the way it was at the end of this. And as he fires some shards of kryptonite into Superman's body, he continues. I know how much you like to listen to heartbeats, so listen now. Do you hear them all up there? Full of longing and fear. They want your vision. Maybe they didn't in another time, but they do in this one, because things have changed. The center has fallen apart. Everyone feels it. In this era, people are begging for a hero who will fix the problems, the wars, the death, the misery, the terror of it all. They want you to save them. What the Phantom Zone taught me is that I do too, but you never will, because deep down you're a coward, Superman. That was my epiphany. Now excuse me while I do what you won't and save the fucking world. So now we have an updated reasoning as to why Lex hates Superman so much. At first, it was because he felt like Superman was a band-aid for humanity. He fixed everything that was wrong with them, always swooped in to save the day, and Lex at first felt like this was holding humanity back. He felt like humanity could never learn from really big mistakes because Superman was always there to fix them. But now, they all have the opportunity to force that kind of paradise onto everyone else by winning this tournament, by being ruthless. And he knows Superman is not willing to do this, and he sees this as cowardice. And even before this whole tournament thing, with the kind of power Superman has and the advanced tech he has at his disposal, he could have already forced humanity to be the best it could possibly be. But we all know Superman does not believe in that. There's just no way he would force himself on all of humanity. So Lex was right. At the end of all this, Superman probably was just gonna put everything back to the way it was. He believes they all deserve a choice, and that he should be the one to guide them to a better future, not force it upon them. And the idea of this makes Lex hate Superman so much, which is why he completely cooked Superman and ran off to save the world. Because if Superman's not gonna do it, then he will. And as Clark begins to lose consciousness, we see everyone fighting for these items. We see Cyborg get the mother box with pretty much no resistance. We see Guy Gardner being just too slow to get the Claw of Horus as Hawkman finally takes it. We see Etrigan, Big Barda, and Swamp Thing all fighting for the Soul Taker Zord. And we see Lobo running away from all of this to go get the Venom. But he gets sneak attacked by Starro. I love their banter. I don't know why, but they just keep cursing each other out. He tells Starro to back off because he doesn't even have any muscles for the Venom to work. And Starro says, "What are you, blind? Starfish are 98% muscle. I'm fucking jacked. Give it." As they start fighting for the Venom. But Lobo ends up injecting himself with it and he gets the item. As he says, "Now get your foul, slimy, but weirdly soft feelers off the main man," and he rips Starro to pieces. And once he flexes with this new Venom amp, he says, "Sorry brother, some got to win, some got to be you." But the fight's not over because Starro lets him know another fact about Starfish is we regenerate, as we see a bunch of Starros attack everybody. But to go back to that Venom thing real quick, maybe I don't understand Lobo or I just don't understand Venom, But I thought Lobo was already strong enough to hurt someone like Superman. I mean, they fought I don't know how many times. And if that's the case, how does Venom even work on him? Does Venom amp anybody despite their strength? Would it amp Superman? Would Venom amp Wonder Woman? I don't really understand this. I figured it just wouldn't work. It's essentially just super steroids. Someone who understands Venom or Lobo a little more can definitely explain it to me, but either way, the Starros get the better of quite a few people. He attaches himself to Power Girl, Jay Garrick, Wonder Woman, and Firestorm. As the Heart of Apocalypse says, all at once, Starro uses his new hosts to grab for any items he can. He goes for Supergirl, who's holding the Psycho Pirate's mask, and Aquaman, who has the Cosmic Rod. Other hosts he sends to stop the champions from fighting items altogether. Flash he sends to prevent Black Lightning from discovering the Whirlagog. Wonder Woman he sends to take down Zatanna before she can find Thor's hammer. But Zatanna is pretty damn smart. Instead of trying to fight off Diana, she lets her know where Thor's hammer is. She wants her to have it. The heroes are working together. And with this hammer, Diana obliterates all the Starros, because we all know Thor is extremely powerful. But the action doesn't stop there, because we see, after all the commotion, Guy Gardner, once again, is trying to get an item, Blue Beetle's Scarab, and once again he is simply too slow, as Jason Todd gets it first. And the first thing he does with this almighty alien weapon is try to murder the Joker. But Harley wants dibs first, as she tries to run up and attack Joker with the Speed Force, and he loves that they're fighting over him, but for some reason, he simply vanishes, and they can't get their revenge. Although I'm pretty sure he didn't vanish, he just shrunk really fast, because I know Adam can do that as well, and he is wearing Adam's belt. Either way, these two are gonna have to wait a little longer to get back at the Joker. Now, I was gonna avoid saying this, but low-key, Guy Gardner sucks. He can't seem to get anything. And we end up seeing exactly where the Joker went. He did shrink down into Big Barda's skull, as he's kicking and attacking the inside of her brain. I could not imagine how much this hurts. But the heroes start to slowly wrap up this tournament. We see Vixen cook King Shark, we see Etrigan get the Thunder Pen, and we even see Zatanna take the God Killer Sword from Metamorpho. There's only a few items left, and Zatanna lets the other heroes know they need to collect them before the Legion of Doom does, as Lex is actually closing in on the power rings. But Star Sapphire is here to get her revenge for what he just did to Superman, hitting him with a pink construct that is the entire Fortress of Solitude. Now that is one way to get your revenge, as she's the one to collect the power ring. And Lex is able to recover and almost snatch them all off of her hand. And it looks like he misses, but he is able to take one, the Black Lantern ring. Now Star Sapphire doesn't think this is a big deal. She's ready to throw down. She's got all the others. She doesn't care about that because there's no dead here to control. But there are. They said at the beginning of this tournament that the corpses of the primordial gods that were murdered by Darkseid are all here. They're fighting in the ruins of their bodies, as Lex looks on with an evil look on his face. And Superman feels it like everyone else does. This round is coming to a close, and his cousin tries to help. She tries to give him the mask and says she'll find something else, but right before she can, Captain Atom smacks her. And I do think it's a pretty cool artistic choice that the two blasts that he's shooting out of his hands are also two O's for the sound effect of his blast. Now Superman tries his best to stand up, tries to call out Atom's name and fight back, but the shards in his body just won't let him. And to make things worse, as the ground starts to rumble, Superman knows Lex has won, because he has control of the Elder Gods Darkseid killed. And of course, with this kind of power, the heroes stand no chance. He looks Superman right in his face while taking out all of his friends, saying everything and nothing at the same time. And Superman looks back, filled with rage, as we get back to the flashback where everyone was hanging out at the beginning of the issue. Conversation picks up where it left off, trying to figure out who Superman would be if he wasn't Superman. See, he tries to toss out a fireman, but Bruce immediately shuts that down. But he lets Clark know that he's a strategist, just like him and Diana, but in his own way. And right now, his strategy works. As Superman, he can do the most good. But things change. That's what games like this are about. And if things were to ever change for him, he needs to find new math so that he can still do as much good as possible, so that he can still succeed. As we see Bruce getting really serious about this topic, and as everyone's kind of surprised because they're supposed to be relaxing, having a good time, even Clark asks what is Bruce's issue, Bruce lets it go and gives him his toy back, but his point has been made. He's not really being a jerk here, he just wants Superman to understand that even without your powers, you still need to find a way to do as much good as possible. Hell, we just saw him and a lot of other heroes lose their powers in the Absolute Power event, so Batman is right for saying this. And we're about to see Superman take this conversation to heart, and he does that quite literally, because he tries to stand, he tries to do something, but there is nothing he could possibly do against these elder gods, especially at his current power. But he remembers the rules. Follow the example of Darkseid and you shall be rewarded. And he knows Darkseid didn't just sacrifice his hand, he sacrificed his life to be something more. This is one of those times Batman was alluding to. He cannot rely on Superman, so who would he be in this moment here if he couldn't be Superman? So, by following Darkseid's example, he sacrifices his own life, pulling the shard out of his shoulder and stabbing himself right in the chest. In this instance, if he can't be Superman, he will be Darkseid, as the unclaimed item, the mystery box item, was the Omega Sanction. Superman is fully amped by the power of Darkseid himself. And Lex was so sure he had won. When he saw the Elder Gods crush Superman, he said, "Who's the real Superman now, old friend?" And Superman immediately got up and said, "I am Luthor, I'm Superman, and Superman is." And with this new power, he obliterates all of the Elder Gods, and he likes it. And Lex begins to complain, "No, I had you beat." And right before Superman can kill him too, Guy Gardner finally gets an item. It's the final item which ends this round. So Lex is legitimately saved by the bell. Everyone who doesn't have an item is eliminated, and everyone who does moves on to the next round. And this is not who I thought would make it this far, but here we are. Joker, Etrigan, Jay Garrick's The Flash, Superman, Hawkman, Lobo, Zatanna, Guy Gardner somehow, Lex Luthor, Harley Quinn, Jason Todd, which is crazy because I didn't even see Damian get eliminated, but somehow Jason made it this far. Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Captain Atom, Swamp Thing, and Cyborg. These are all the people moving on to the next level. But the Heart of Apocalypse lets us know the game is not only being played here, as we move on to outside of the tournament. As we see the Quantum Quorum talking, or more importantly, Time Trapper, letting them know that the fire pits burn bright with Omega energy as the champions move closer to the center. Soon there will be a new King Omega. The tournament is coming to a close. All they have to do is sit here and hold the time barrier against Darkseid. But remember, last issue we got it revealed that Booster Gold is Darkseid. And here, he reveals himself. He lets him know there's no need for a new King Omega, we already have ours. Me, Darkseid. And it's time I enter the arena. As we see him choke up Time Trapper, and this is where the issue ends. So, Darkseid has finally played his hand. We know we got Superman versus Captain Atom that we still gotta cover, where we see where this confrontation goes, and we see the tournament starting to wind down with these versus matches. So soon we'll be able to see what Darkseid is about to do, what the hell Batman's gonna do about the DC K.O. event, and where is absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. We got a lot of moving parts and things are slowly coming to a close. But either way, I hope y'all enjoyed the video and I will catch you on the next one. This was a very fun issue.